Francis the best player in the history of the show. Give your balls a tug.
How in the hell did this guy get his own TV show? More importantly, how in the hell did they manage to make it so damn good?
Can't even focus right now. Your eyebrows are so f***ed up. Did you cut them?
Bro dude did.
But after Bro Dude, you didn't cut your eyebrows.
No.
You didn't cut your eyebrows?
No.
You didn't cut your eyebrows.
Well, once.
It's a known fact that TV show spin-offs rarely go well. For decades, spin-offs have been some of the lowest forms of capital C content that you can waste your time watching. The creative bankruptcy behind endeavors like that 80s show, Joey, or How I Met Your Father is rivaled only by the corporate greed that inspired them. But every so often, a spin-off comes along that's actually worth a watch, or rarer than that, it might be even better than the original. The Letterkenny spin-off Shoresy is one of those shows. That's an impressive achievement all on its own, but when you consider just how much was working against Shoresy, it gets even more unbelievable. A spin-off based around a one-note bit character that didn't even show his face from a TV show that never should have worked in the first place.
I think you better come say that to his face, you f***ing hicks.
Nice execution.
You're doing terrific.
Put it all together, and success starts looking less like an improbability and more like a miracle on ice. So how did they pull it off? Well, let's marinate on that one a little. When Letterkenny first rolled out more than a decade ago, there was no way anybody could have known just how popular the show would get. We made a whole video on why that is, so we'll give you the short version here.
We will be targeting a social media audience with the attention span of an iPad baby, so don't dick around.
Letterkenny creator Keeso based the show off a series of comedic shorts he filmed about small-town living in Ontario, Canada. And the shorts themselves were based on posts from a Twitter account he maintained with his buddies. These incredibly quick quips shouldn't have translated well to long-form TV. The thick Canadian accents should have functioned as a language barrier, and the subject matter should have been alienating for anyone outside of Keeso's hometown. But the man pulled off the impossible. Thanks to its hilarity, sincerity, and surprising amount of heart, Letterkenny was a massive hit, and not just on the northern side of the border. Even after 12 seasons of deadpan deliveries of Canadian quips, fans weren't quite ready to say goodbye to the quirky Canadian universe Keeso and his crew had created. And luckily, they didn't have to, because before Letterkenny even ended, more fast-talking TV had already been lined up. Back in 2021, Bell Media announced that in addition to greenlighting seasons 10 and 11 of Letterkenny, they also had Keeso working on a spin-off series centered around the foul-mouthed character of Shoresy that would premiere the following year. And fans were confused, maybe even a little disappointed. Shoresy was funny, but there was no way he could carry a whole TV show. The entire conceit of his character could be summed up with 2 bits: relentlessly chirping and never showing his face. It would be like trying to give Mrs. Wolowitz from The Big Bang Theory a spin-off show if Mrs. Wolowitz constantly called her son a twat.
Hey, Ma, can I have lamb stew for dinner?
Lamb I'd have soup.
To stack the deck even further against Shoresy, the same article announcing the spin-off admits that the character seemed like the most bizarre choice, but he was actually the #1 character associated with Letterkenny merchandise. Everything pointed to this being yet another spin-off nobody wanted or asked for. And with that less than stellar first impression locked and loaded, Shoresy was fighting an uphill battle before it ever aired. But once it finally made it to our screens, it became clear that Keeso had done it again. He managed to make a second impossibly great show, and arguably, this one is his finest work. The first thing fans noticed was just how different it was from Letterkenny. While the jokes are still fast-paced and the humor itself is still viscerally Canadian, the show is structured more like your typical comedy series and less like a bunch of loose sketches stitched together across several scenes. There are actual stakes, incremental character development over multiple episodes, and even season-long arcs wrapped around a pretty simple setup. Season 1 of Shoresy sees our titular character join the Sudbury Bulldogs, a team in the Northern Ontario Senior Hockey Organization, aka the No-Show. He's finally been given a face, that of Keeso himself, who previously voiced the character on Letterkenny. And he does a great job of bringing some humanity to the part without it feeling like too much of a departure from the crude caricature we'd come to expect. His high-pitched cartoonish voice has been softened while still being recognizable, and he's actually got a personality outside of beaking the boys, but he still does plenty of that too.
I've had about enough from the Clearasil kid. Get in the box, you f***ing pimple farmer.
This natural feeling evolution of Shoresy from a simple joke to a main character is all thanks to Keeso. His ability as a writer and his acknowledgement of his limitations were instrumental in making this show work as well as it did. In an interview, he made it clear that it wasn't just Shoresy's merchandisability that had inspired the spinoff, despite what the tone-deaf quote from Bell Media said. Keeso told USA Today, "I had real fear of ruining everything with my follow-up to Letterkenny. After 80 episodes of that show, my creative reserves for main characters were too depleted to confidently pursue a spin-off with one of them. I needed a tertiary character with meat on the bone. I thought Shoresy would be the most fun. So that's why we didn't get a show about the McMurrays or the Skids or any of the more prominently featured Letterkenny characters. Keeso had simply run out of gas on them. He needed something fresh." Keeso also recognized that 25 minutes of fart jokes and foul language would get stale fast. Shoresy had to be likable and yet still be himself, so the character was fleshed out to become a fiercely patriotic and family-focused man who could actually hold a real conversation while still rambling off a few offensive and off-color jokes.
Come on, Shoresy.
Leave me alone.
You're the expert here.
But I don't know.
Sure you do.
No, I don't.
You say we aren't as fast.
Yeah, but I f***ing wish I didn't.
Despite his name being the title of the show, it isn't just his story. The characters around him are just as important to the consistent quality of the episodes, and the plots are usually kept simple to let their personalities shine. The goal of the first season was for the Bulldogs to never lose another game, so Shoresy sets out to build an all-star assemblage of absolutely unhinged characters to play on the team. From the three Jims, to the barely intelligible Ted Hitchcock, to the real-life French-Canadian rapper and hockey player Dolo, who acts as a fictionalized version of himself, the cast of Shoresy quickly became just as iconic as the cast of Letterkenny. Their chemistry is off the charts, but of all the character dynamics on the show, the one that stands out the most is Shoresy and the sports journalist Laura Moore, played by Camille Sullivan. Laura is set up in the very first episode as a sort of no-nonsense single mom that's immune to Shoresy's chirping, and he quickly falls for her. Their will-they-won't-they relationship plays out across 4 seasons of the show in a way that is both oddly realistic and heartwarmingly hilarious.
Damn it, I'm scared too, Laura.
What am I afraid of?
That you can't stop yourself from banging me for a bit.
I'd bang you right here if I wanted to.
Oh, it's so hot.
It's that blend of authenticity intermingled with comedy that serves as the show's superpower. And it's not just present in Shoresy and Laura's relationship. Like Letterkenny before it, Shoresy showcases a slice of Canadian living in a way that's part love letter and part cautionary tale. Except this time, instead of small town life, we're centered on the big city of Sudbury, Ontario. That switch up really helps to sell the series as more than just a desperate bid to cling to Letterkenny's cultural relevance. It makes Shoresy feel distinct from its predecessor while still maintaining a lot of the spirit of the original show. And while those aforementioned unhinged characters are elevated to unreal heights, they're still representative of real people you'd be likely to meet if you made your way up north. And since the actors themselves are all actual Canadians, there's a sense of genuine camaraderie and patriotism baked into the show at a fundamental level. Part of that patriotism comes through by focusing so heavily on hockey, which runs the risk of being alienating for viewers who don't consider themselves rink rats. You can feel the love for the game and the community surrounding it in every scene, filtered through that sardonic brand of tongue-in-cheek humor. It all adds up to something quintessentially Canadian, not unlike Letterkenny itself, but with the added benefit of Shoresy taking itself and its story just a little bit more seriously, which is pretty wild when you remember the character starting out like this.
And what's gonna happen, Shoresy?
3 things. I hit you, you hit the pavement, ambulance hit 60.
And well, that's all we've got for you today. Now we want to hear what you think. Have you watched Shoresy? Do you think it's as good or even better than Letterkenny? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what we put out next.